I can't even ride roller coasters, Thor.
Oh, I hate roller coasters.
When we go to amusement park, I am literally the world's best purse holder.
Oh.
All right, guys, so we're going to try something new, something we've been dabbling with here and there, and something that's really become popular over the last couple of years. And we started doing live shows on Wednesday nights over what we now have as the pandemic. So I've got Thor. Is it Thor Sko or Thor Skoy?
Skoy.
I've called you Sko for years.
Most people do.
I had this conversation with a buddy of mine yesterday that said, who is this Thor guy? And I was like, you know what? I'm not 100% on how you say his last name, even though I've known you for 5 or 6 years.
Like 8 or 9 now?
8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
So from here on out, we're still not getting it right. But guys, this is Real Talk. What we want to accomplish on Real Talk is, well, obviously we're going to talk fishing because we love fishing, but we're going to talk hunting. We're going to talk camping. We're going to talk to guests.
We're going to talk about trap shooting, night vision goggles.
Hey.
Who knows what we're going to talk about? We're going to do giveaways.
This is going to be separate, but part of fish addiction. So it's Real Talk with fish addictions.
Right.
But what people don't know, and you probably know, but don't always think about, is we do a lot more than fish.
Like, he shoots giant bucks.
I try really hard.
Well, he did it this year.
Yeah. So it's just, people know us inside the fish addictions realm of the world. And we will definitely and most certainly talk about what happens on and in fish addictions. And most certainly have some of the staff members, companies that are involved with fish addictions on the show. But most importantly, we wanted to open it up to everything outside of the fish addictions world as well, because we have stuff going on every day, whether it's work, whether it's play related, whether it's kids related.
Right. Bringing new people into the sport, whether they're, somebody with a big name that, does something other than hunting or fishing, or there's somebody, your neighbor just trying to learn how to cast a rod for the first time and go out and catch their first fish 27 years after you caught yours.
Or like today, our guests are going to be my kids, because something cool happened to my kids this year. They both shot their first deer, and they've got cool stories, and there's a background story to it. So we're going to let them tell it. And that's what this is going to be about. Like, we're just going to talk everything. Whatever gets brought up, we're going to talk about. How this is going to kind of work is Thor and I are going to host the show, but Thor's going to kind of be the fact checker, the guy that brings up topics that I wouldn't normally bring up, and he's going to make me talk about things that I wouldn't normally talk about. You're probably going to... I think he's most looking forward to pushing the envelope a little bit and making me have opinions on things that normally I'm super quiet about.
Yeah. And if you guys have questions you want Mike to answer, feel free to comment below, and we'll see if we can stump Mike, confuse Mike, or see if we can get Mike a little agitated on camera. It'll be fun for everybody.
Oh, gosh. So, guys, this is Real Talk with Fish Addictions TV. So, with that, I kind of want to get right into it. My daughter, we have had this stuff set up for about a week and a half, and it seems like every time we look through the door into the studio here, there's Abby singing, talking, practicing.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, why not have her be the first guest? Now, Abigail, if you want to come up here, she's patiently waiting and blushing as red as she can get, just so you guys have a visual. Oh, and I do want to kind of point out that we will be just putting this stuff for fun on YouTube, just for people to follow along with and add some stuff to it. Abigail, how are you, my dear?
Good.
This is my daughter, Abby. How old are you?
12.
She is 12 years old. And you've had kind of a fun experience this year.
Yep.
You know what I'm a little ashamed of? You didn't bring your deer horns in here.
Yeah, they're in the house.
Yeah?
They're down in my bedroom.
Well,
I think so.
We'll make sure to get a picture of you put on here. So the little backstory is if you guys follow along at all, I love to deer hunt. I love to fish. I love to deer hunt. And about 2 years ago, Abby came to me and said, Dad, I'm actually interested in deer hunting. And she went and got her firearm safety, we have a backstory from last year. We'll tell it after her story. Should we tell everybody about that?
Sure.
Tell us about this year's deer first.
Yeah, we're gonna talk. So, anyways, youth deer season.
Yep.
We get everything fired up. You tell the story.
Okay, so we went and picked up my cousin and brought him to his stand, and then we got done with that about like 7 or 6. And then when we got to our stand, and then me and my grandpa got into the stand, and we sat for a while and we chatted, and then we were just watching, and then out of nowhere we saw a buck, and I was shaking like crazy, and I had my gun up to the window, and it was squeaky, and he didn't really know what was going on, so he kept looking around. He was looking around to see where the noise was coming from, and then at one point he stopped at a perfect angle and then my grandpa's like, shoot it, and then I shot at it, and then it fell, and then it was dead.
That was a very short version of a very long story. What did you do after you shot the deer? You made a phone call to every single person you knew.
Yeah. Yep.
I have Jake in the stand with me, and my phone rings, and it's like, Dad, I got a buck. You were hugging and crying, and what does that mean to you?
Well, it was really exciting that I got to shoot my first deer with my grandpa, and that he got to have that experience with me, and we got to share that experience together.
That's pretty cool for sure. Now, those of you that know me, my dad is the total opposite. He is the most patient person in the whole wide world in any instance and anything. And when he tells the story, it's about 10 minutes longer. But pretty cool. You got a really nice, how many points?
7.
Just a beautiful 7-point buck. Didn't go anywhere. Shot it with her 20 gauge.
Yep.
What a cool experience. We'll throw a picture up there. Is there anything you want to add to that? Because I'm going to retell the story once you...
No, nothing much. I was like just super excited that I shot my first deer with my grandpa, and
It's an awesome buck, too. So, a little backstory on the whole situation. My dad, he kind of has this tradition of all the grandkids. He sits with them very patiently. As a father, I have sat many hours with my kids in the stand without a gun, prepping them for this day and hoping that when this day comes that you'd be able to perform. Now, we did have one hiccup in year 1 that we'll get to, but it's fine. It was awesome. It was still a crazy experience. But so my dad is known to shoot the first, or to be in the stand with the grandkids and shoot their first deer. Up to this point, I think he has been a part of every grandkid's first deer. So it's really special. My dad is battling stage 4 cancer, and really cool that he's still around to share those experiences with his grandchildren. He's taking full advantage of doing that. So, but the way Grandpa tells it is, got into the stand, wasn't very long. How long were you sitting in the stand?
probably like 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, 30, 40 minutes. Daylight comes, and Grandpa says, "Hey, there's a buck." Did you see it right away?
I saw it, and then I was like, Grandpa, look at there's a buck. And he was telling me that usually the does will come from the back, and then the bucks will come from the way that my buck came. And he came, and I was like, Grandpa, look at there's a buck. And then he stood behind a tree for a while, so I couldn't get a good shot at him. And then like my gun kept rattling because I was shaking so much. And then he like came to the perfect spot, and I just got that shot at him and knocked him.
Got him right over.
Yep.
So, you see the buck. It wasn't as easy as pointing the gun out the window and shooting it.
No.
You were, like you said, Grandpa says you were rattling a little bit. Things were a little noisy. The buck looks up at you guys. Doesn't really know exactly what's going on because you guys are sitting in an enclosed stand.
Mm-hmm.
And did you have to switch windows at one point?
Yeah, I did. So He like kept walking. I was like getting my gun ready to aim, but he would keep walking, so I had to take my gun out and put it to the spot, and then he finally stopped, and then I
Whacked him.
Yep.
And what was the first thing you did?
I started crying because I was so happy, and then I gave him a hug.
That's pretty cool. And then you called everybody. You proceeded to call everybody: mom, dad, grandma,
Yep.
other grandma, grandpa, cousins, text messages.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty fun. We'll throw a picture up of your deer with grandpa. Pretty cool experience. So after that, are you done deer hunting?
No.
No way.
No.
No, you're hooked.
Yep. I'm gonna get a bigger one next year.
Heck yeah. I tell you what, guys, I'm super proud of her. She withstood some long hours last year. Never took one shot at a deer, never got it, and stuck it out, and was just as excited to go this year as she was last year, and it paid off, right?
Yep.
A beautiful deer. So I have to tell our story from last year. Is that okay?
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
You're not gonna be mad at me?
No.
All right. So let's see. I started deer hunting when I was 10 years old, but didn't get to carry a gun until I was 12. I am now 36 years old. So what's that? 24 years?
What was how old are you now?
36.
36, 12.
Your beard does not say
24.
36.
I know it doesn't. It says 46, but I am definitely 36. Going to be 37 here in a little while. And I know this story because I forgot how old I was, and my wife let me know just the other day. So,
What?
well, do you never look at somebody, Abby, and be like, how old am I? Or you just know?
No, I don't.
Yeah, but when you
See,
get 36,
she's
you'll
still,
start
she's still
questioning.
young enough that you have birthdays to look forward to.
Yeah, see, I legitly forget how old I am sometimes.
Right, because I just turned 27 this summer, so my last birthdays were 25. Woohoo! I can rent a car. 26. I get to figure out how to get my own health insurance. You quit looking forward to the birthdays as they go on. So I ask Hayden frequently.
So I will be 37 in December, right, Abby?
Yep.
Did you know that?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. All right. So last year, I'd been hunting 24 years. And I take Abby out to what we call the big buck stand.
Yep.
Right? It had no
Yep.
name. Had no name up to this point. And Abby and I are sitting there, and man, she'd never shot a deer at this point. And it's you sure you want me to tell this?
Sure.
Okay. So, anyways, we're sitting in the
the
stand.
viewers are going to quit listening if you don't
I
tell the
know.
story.
So, we're sitting in the stand. Abby's here, I'm here. And we're out there to shoot Abby a deer. And all of a sudden we hear what?
A big grunt,
Big grunt.
but it's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
You go.
So all of a sudden we hear big grunt. And I said, Abby, did you hear that? And what'd you say? No.
No,
didn't hear the
I didn't
first
hear
one.
it the first time.
And all of a sudden, grunts again. I'm like, Abby, did you hear that? Yeah. I'm like, put your gun out the window. I think he's gonna come right in front of us. So she gets her gun out, ready to rock. You tell more.
So I get my gun out, and then he starts coming, and he's chasing like 2 or 3 deer.
Yeah, like 3 does pop out. There's like a 50-yard opening in front of us, and 3 does pop out, and then there he is right behind them, and they're following along this little swamp edge. And to the left of us, there's a big clearing. But I had her, my fault, I had you get ready in front of us in the clearing. And the does come out, and they go down this trail over to this trail to the left of us. So Abby's got to switch around over to the left window, and that buck decides he's going to come running right at us down the trail. And Abby got buck fever.
I don't want to spook him, so I didn't move my gun, and then he went away. But
Yeah.
then a doe came back. I shot at that one, missed it.
Yeah, you did. But it was by far the biggest buck I've ever seen in my life. He's still alive. He's running around. I didn't hear about anybody shooting him. I didn't see him this year, but it's all right. It was a learning experience.
Yep.
But you pulled the trigger this year.
Yeah, I did.
Pretty intense. Deer hunting is pretty intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
And our family takes it pretty serious. So we plant food plots, we put up the stands, we tend to the food plots, we take pictures,
Yep.
we get excited. And in fact, the deer that Abby shot, the morning you shot it, I got a picture of it that night, and I said, Abby, this is going to be the deer you shoot today. And that's the one you shot.
Yep.
Good
The
job.
exact deer. Looked at the picture and then looked at the horns. And
Perfect
so-
match.
Yep.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Say big buck down.
Big buck down.
Got to be excited. What? When Abby is in 7th grade, for everybody that doesn't know. So, Abby, do you have a boyfriend?
No.
No? Okay, good.
I thought she was texting all of her boyfriends
What?
out of the stand.
Abigail Ann, you have something you need to tell your mother and I?
No. I don't. You guys already know.
That's going to be part of what we do is just have these conversations with people. It's so cool. Abby, 3-4 years ago, you really didn't have a lot of interest in deer hunting, and you decided that, hey, I want to try to do that. And I think it's really cool, and I'm really proud of you, sweetheart, for just understanding, getting your firearm safety, going through the motions, and shooting a deer. Now, Jake was supposed to come on here and talk to us because he shot his first buck too, but he's gone.
We don't know where he went.
He left.
He's in the shop playing basketball.
Do you think he'll come in here and talk about his first deer?
I bet if I went to go get him, probably.
Why don't you do that?
Okay.
Thanks for being on, Abby.
Yep.
Yep. As we're finding our way through this, obviously, she's very nervous.
Yeah. She did a
which
great
is
job,
okay.
though.
Yeah. It's real.
I mean, out of the three of us, you're the only one that's used to being on camera. She did a great job.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's real. That's why we call it
Yeah.
real talk.
Right.
We talk to whatever. And we're going to have a lot of fun with this, guys. I mean, this first one here is just to kind of feel our way through it, get things working right.
Yep.
Getting
this is
it
try
going in the
4.
right direction, and seeing what we come up with. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be a big flop, but we're going to have fun talking and spitting things that we don't really know anything about, but we're going to try to know things about.
Right.
We're going to just see where it lands. And I think that's the fun part about this is we're not going to be super put together. We're not going to be having a giant plan about what we do, what we're talking about, where these conversations are going to go, and where they land in the end.
Right.
So that's the fun part.
So, did you shoot your first deer with your grandpa?
I did not. I shot my first deer with my dad as well.
Okay.
So my dad, our rule when we were younger was Minnesota back in those days. We didn't really stand hunt like we do now.
Right.
We basically did big drives. We had 15 to 17 people that would come up and stay at our house from all over the Midwest, Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota. They'd all come to our house, and we'd organize giant drives. Well, what my dad said that I needed to do was go along for 2 years before I was able to carry a gun and make those decisions to shoot a deer on the run. It was a totally different world back then. Looking back at it now, I do the same with my kids right now, and I kind of do. Jake has always had an interest in hunting and fishing and that kind of stuff. So if you've watched Fish Addictions, you've 100% seen Jake on there. He's on there a couple times a year, and he's just like so interested in it. But he's been sitting in the stand with me since we were just looking at pictures the other day, and I've got a deer on the wall that I shot with him when he was 5 years old. So he's seen the process. He's done eight of whatever. He has just never had killed a deer till this year. He's never pulled the trigger. I had let him pull up on deer before with no shell in the chamber just to get a feel for it, that kind of stuff. And like I said, he's been in there. He's seen many deer kills. He's been a part of the process from the hunting shack that we have as a group to the actual sitting all day, because I'm kind of a stand Nazi. When I get in the stand, I don't leave.
You and I would not deer hunt well together.
No.
I like to climb in the stand and sit there until I finish my book, and then I leave.
I'm all day. There's everybody, all these guys will tell you, I shoot all my biggest deer between 11 and 1 when everybody's back. I have shot some big deer between 11 and 1. I shoot most of my big deer between 5 and 6 p.m., really.
Right.
But I set myself up that way. But back to that, we used to drive. It just and the learning process was so much different than it is now. We're in a much more stabilized environment now with these kids and stands, and really we're getting soft. I have heaters in every one of my stands. I do not like to turn them on, but I do sometimes if it's cold, especially during muzzleloader season. But you know, we grew. They grew up different than we did. I had a gun in my hand at 8 years old, and a 22 or 6 to 8 years old shooting 22s and shotguns by 8 to 10, and still my dad made me walk along and just see the process for 2 years. And that's what I did with Jake up till this year. Jake got to shoot this year. He had an opportunity and capitalized on it. Abby has, like I said, only had interest in deer hunting for the last couple of years and did a phenomenal job and put a good, ethical, clean shot. And that's what I'm trying to teach my kids is we don't take shots that we don't know about. We got to be sure about what we're shooting. The real basics of firearm safety. Mm-hmm. Be sure of what you're shooting, how you're shooting, where you're shooting, and what you're shooting. And so yeah, I mean, I shot my first deer with my dad, but you know, back then we got 5 tags. You know, now you get 1 tag.
Yep.
Back then it was meat poles. You know, it was
stack them up,
brown it's down.
Yeah.
And I have a total different way of thinking now. But we put a lot of effort and time into what we do. Plus, we don't have the land. That's probably the biggest thing that has changed over the years is back when we were smaller, first off, there was 2 weekends of hunting. So it split everybody in Minnesota into 2 weekends. You had the first weekend, which was a Saturday, Sunday, and you had the second weekend, which was a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it split all these millions of people, or however many people hunt in Minnesota. There's a fact check deal. But it split them up into almost 2. So now, opening day is everybody's a free-for-all. So what that does is it takes the land and it cuts everything you have to hunt in half. And we used to hunt second weekend because most guys that own land would hunt first weekend, get their deer, and then they didn't care if anybody went on second weekend. So we had tons of land to walk and hunt and do as we please. But we didn't shoot a lot of big deer. It wasn't that there wasn't big deer around, but about 7 years ago, the group that I hunt with, we made a conscious decision to land manage a little bit. We're no professionals at it by any means, but you know, hey, we shot 4 deer that legitly anybody would put on the wall, and that's giant. We got 6 guys. We shot 4 giants, and that's really, really what we were, you know, trying to do. Now maybe that's a fluke this year. Who knows? We'll see next year. But we're in year, 5 or 6 of really not shooting small deer.
Right.
The rule is our kids, their first bucks, they can shoot whatever. We shoot does as a group to manage that, and they can shoot does, whatever. We were all pretty hard horn hunters, and some people are gonna balk at me for saying that. But when you put as much time and effort into something, why can't you be choosy?
Right.
I don't see any reason. I'm not just there to shoot. I mean, I want meat. But I also have 10 days to make that decision. And I could shoot a doe every single day of the season.
Right.
In most cases. No, there's times I don't see anything, but not very often.
And thankfully we're at a point where we can go to the grocery store and buy stuff to go with tag soup if you decide to eat the tag for the year.
Right, for sure.
So you can shoot the deer that you want and be proud of. And
yeah, I've been balked at before because I'm a self-proclaimed big buck hunter.
Right.
And I get a giant. And I shot a deer this year a piece of land that I have purchased with my own money that's been in my family, and put a lot of work into this land, and it always had big deer on it. But we've got more big deer on it. We've got more of the things that they want, and I shot a deer on there, and it's not the biggest deer I've ever shot in my life, but outside of anything I've shot, it was the most emotional probably deer that I shot, because it was just like it all came together for us. We had pictures of the deer, we had food plots, we had trails cut, we had stands placed in the right area, everything happened right. And that's what I love about deer hunting. I think deer hunting actually starts the day deer hunting ends for me. I love fishing, I love everything about fishing, but there is not much in my life that gives me a rush like a big buck.
Right.
Grunting at you, coming down the trail, that buck I shot, he owned that woods. The way he would, it's just his swagger, everything. Like, you don't know that feeling unless you're in a tree stand and watching it. And then when you've passed on 3-year-olds and 2-year-olds and does, and you're passing, and every single one of those deer that walks by you in the back of your head, you're like, I'm not sure I'm going to get a chance at something better than that deer.
Right.
But by just letting it walk by, when you get a chance and when you connect with the big deer, there is no doubt in your mind you made the right decision. And that's what happened for me this year. And I had a year for sure of epic proportions for me.
Right.
So, I mean, I love deer hunting. I love it. Start to finish every day. Pretty much all summer long, I'm married to those deer.
Right. And I grew up in a bird hunting family. So when I was 5, my dad let me carry a squirt gun with me when we'd go walk through the woods in northern Minnesota chasing rough grouse around. And for me, I've dabbled in bow hunting a little bit. But there's not much of a better feeling for me than watching my dog come back to me with a rooster. Especially with a young dog. I had to put a dog down when he was 4, just getting into his prime, and so now I'm on to my second dog that I've had. And he just turned 2, and this is his first year really pheasant hunting. We dabbled a little bit last year, but I've had him out in the field with me 4 or 5 times now.
Your waterfall, your upland game stuff, I enjoy it a lot. But what I enjoy about it is watching your dogs work, watching hard work, watching your dogs enjoy it. It's for me, upland game hunting is 50% camaraderie, 50% watching the birds, watching the dogs work the birds.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than your dog doing everything perfect. It gets up and you whiff, and then your dog. I've got a dog, Gracie, has retrieved many, many, many roosters, but she is notorious for doing one of these. Looking back at you like, what was that?
That's why I go hunting with
Like,
Chris.
like missing a free throw in like the biggest game. She gives you that look, and it's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. She's like, I did everything right, and you screwed up.
Yeah. When it starts to click for the dog, and all of a sudden you can't shoot, you feel like Shaq during Game 7.
Yeah.
You know you're getting fouled, and you know you're gonna miss the shot.
Yeah.
It just happens that way.
But hunting in general for me has taught me, I like to think that in everything I do, I put my best effort forward. And I haven't honestly been pheasant hunting in 2 years. Where we go and stuff like that, bird numbers have been down. We do have a trailer out in western North Dakota. A lot of great memories, go out there with buddies. But bird numbers have taken a plummet, loss of CRP, loss of water and habitat in general because it's been dry out there,
And some brutal winters.
So bird numbers are way down. So the guy we hunt on, he's more than welcome to have us come out, but he also kind of hints that maybe he'd like to see a little bit of a rebound before we go after him and go hard on him again. But bird numbers have recovered a lot around the state, which is good. Around Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, a lot of areas bird numbers have recovered. But I have really had this deer fever, so it kind of interferes with my bird hunting.
Yep.
And I need to change that. I definitely do. But
And my fall fishing this year.
yeah,
I just put my boat away today on November 22nd. And I've been saying every weekend since about September 15th, yep, we're going to go chase fall smallmouth this weekend. Fall smallmouth this weekend. My boat has not been in the water since then. And I've just been going pheasant hunting. And, I like to think maybe those smallmouth are grateful that we didn't go out there. But I sure do miss them.
yeah. Life is weird. We're in 2020.
It is 2020.
And we've said that a lot. And we don't have to explain 2020. Everybody that's listening knows what 2020 is.
Well, and it's going to be in history books. If somebody's listening to this 50 years from now, they'll be able to read about it.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this 50 years from 2020, look up 2020. But it's just been a crazy year altogether. My year started out tournament fishing, looked like we weren't going to have any.
Right.
We're looking at March and April. They canceled the first couple. Then they talk about restructuring. Things are opening back up. And then we kind of had to make a decision what we were going to do. Are we going to go do the whole National Walleye Tour and fish it? The plan was to do that, and then the schedule came out, and it was Green Bay, and then Sault Ste. Marie was right on top of it. So I made the decision to fish Green Bay. I did not fish Sault Ste. Marie. And then Sakakawea. Went out to Sakakawea, fished that one, and then just decided, with the weird year and things going on, back at home and everything like that, that it was 2020. And I just decided not to finish the whole tour out this year. There's just so much going on.
Right.
Those of you that don't know, I own a fencing and landscape company with my brother John, who is also a very avid outdoorsman, and we're really alike, but in different aspects. We're really passionate. We go really hard at what we do, but he's a snow goose hunter, and I'm a fisherman and a deer hunter, and he's really turned into a deer hunter in the last couple of years.
Right. He's got some land to manage himself
Yeah,
now,
he's
and
got
he's
some
been having
big
fun
deer
with
out
it.
there. But that was the reason that we have the company we have, is to pursue our passion. And it's just been a weird year all the way around, from the landscaping end of things to the fishing end of things. I wasn't ready for the schedule that was going to come out, and with everything the way it was, everything was so unknown going into this year that that's just the way it ended up being. We did do some aim tournaments. We did the walleye shootout tournament, which, if you're listening to this and you own a Warrior boat, check the walleye shootout, the Dave Anderson Memorial Walleye Shootout out. It's in August up at Lake of the Woods. We had 107 boats this year in it.
It's a lot of boats.
Pretty crazy. 107 Warrior boats. We also did do like a mini series vlog on it with Fish Addictions, so you can check that out. But we're gonna go back at it. You know what? This year has made me really realize that we need to take a step back. I think if there's one good thing that's come out of this, the kids were out of school March 15th. I bet you we went spring fishing 30 times. Mm-hmm. That was our field trip. Running out, whether the fish were running or not, we went and checked. Spent a lot of time behind the windshield checking for walleyes, and connected a few times and had a good time. And I just want 2020 to be over, but it just doesn't look like, who knows when this is going to end.
Right.
That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
That's one reason that pushed us into this, because we're going to have guests on here, random guests. To be honest, Abby is probably going to be one of our only in-studio guests outside of the Fish Addictions crew. We've been around each other. We've been, monitoring each other.
Yep.
We know where each other has been, hasn't been. And I know that's a fact. And I know there's people rolling their eyes right now, because I feel the same way. But I've had it now. I didn't have taste for 28 days.
Yeah. That's a lot of unappreciated steaks.
Oh, it was for sure. But we're also going to confide in what we feel is right.
Yep.
So we are going to have Zoom calls. We are going to have phone calls. We may have people in studio depending on how it works out. The staff from Fish Addictions TV, we are down to 6 staffers on the staff, but guys like Theo and Will and all those guys are still contributing to what we're doing. And we'll probably end up having those guys on as well. And people outside of Fish Addictions. We're going to have lots of guests out here. And we're just going to have fun with it. So you guys stick along with us, because we don't know where this is going. We don't know exactly how this is going to shape up. But we know one thing. This is what we want. We want it to be structured, but not really have structure.
Right.
We want to talk about things that doesn't have to be fishing. It could be politics. Listen, it could go there. I don't want it to go there.
Politics in 2020. We're gonna do politics.
It's like we just had an election or something.
Oh, it was terrible. It was actually terrible.
But what I'm trying to just convey is we have no idea where this is going.
Right. The main goal here is we want to get you guys more Fish Addictions content than just Sunday mornings. We want to get you content 3 to 4 times a week, if we can, so you guys can be with us every day, almost. We're going to take a few days for ourselves.
Yeah. And the truth is there's a lot more to Fish Addictions than what they see on TV.
Right.
We just had a ginormous garage sale.
Right. You and I worked from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. 5 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
and then 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on a Saturday, setting up for a garage sale. You know, it's all sorts of stuff that happens way behind the scenes.
In the midst of COVID.
Yeah.
We wore masks, people. We masked up
And everybody here wore masks too.
for the most part.
Almost.
Yeah, I would say 75% of people were masked up.
Yeah. We had hand sanitizer, whole 9 yards. It was good.
And some crazy deals.
And some crazy deals.
There we go.
And we had a nurse on hand. She provided the hand sanitizer.
Reluctantly. Yeah, my wife is a nurse, and I guarantee she will be a guest on this at some point, telling her perspective of fish addictions, which is scary in its own right. But I think she'll behave herself.
I mean, she'll probably tell us we're idiots.
She does that every day.
Right. This will just be the first
In
time
a
on
loving
camera.
way.
Yeah.
In a loving way, she tells us we're idiots. But, you
And,
know,
you know, it's all going to be in good fun. We want to be able to interact. So if we're, you know, anybody that's commenting, I'm going to read through every comment on Facebook and YouTube, and we will try to answer as many questions as we can, either on camera or personally, or, you know, let us know what you want to hear us talk about, who you'd like to see for guests, stuff like that, maybe giveaway ideas. After this episode, we are going to give away the Eskimo and the Ion hat that you can see here. And most of the time, you know, it's picked randomly. But what we're gonna do this time is we were gonna let Jake and Abby pick, but since Jake didn't show up for his interview, for the Eskimo hat, you're gonna tell us your favorite hunting story. Can be deer hunting, can be whatever. Since we did a lot of deer hunting talking. So Abby's gonna pick her favorite deer hunting story, and for the Ion hat.
ooh.
Tell us your favorite fishing memory from last year, or who took you out fishing for the first time. And Abby's going to pick her favorite story for that one. And we'll get somebody an Eskimo hat and somebody an Ion hat.
And here's the truth of the matter. We're doing this to have fun.
Right.
So if you don't like what we're doing, we don't care.
Right.
So go ahead and post it if you want. But shame on you. This is 2020, and we're just trying to have fun.
Right.
We're not getting paid to do this. This is something that we put together just to have fun with fish addictions, because there's so many things above and beyond what people see on TV. And trust me, we hear it all.
Right.
And most of the time, people don't say good things. They say bad things to us.
Right.
All the good things is face to face, but the internet warriors tell us bad things.
Right.
And trust me.
Should we put together a list of the mean comments we hear this year?
And call people out on them?
We could.
Why not? If they want to put them on social media, we might as well blast them.
We're going to ask our editors about whether or not that's a good idea.
Who knows? We don't know where this is going to go. So listen, if you don't like it, so be it. But here's the deal. Give us some constructive criticism. What do you like? What don't you like? I'm happy to. This is like fish addictions, man. When fish addictions first started, I'll be the first one to tell you that we were a giant infomercial.
Yeah.
But if you have watched fish addictions over the last 3 or 4 years, we really let the products speak for themselves, and we don't speak too much about them anymore.
Right.
What we want on fish addictions is, I'm not James Holst. James Holst has a great show.
He does.
I'm not Larry Smith. Larry Smith has a great show too. We're Fish Addictions TV. We have a different feel. We're not trying to be like anybody else. We're not trying to do what everybody else is doing. We're trying to show a little bit of education, a little bit of camaraderie, and a lot of fun, because ice fishing is fun, especially when you're doing it with your friends. And that's what I get comments all the time like, oh, geez, you guys don't have anything good to say. I'm not trying to talk over your head. I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. I like to fish. I'm blessed enough to be able to travel the Midwest and fish with a lot of cool people and make a lot of good friends. And, you know, I don't have any, I'm not ashamed of that.
Right.
We get to share, we get to share our experiences with all these people out there every day, every Sunday. And why should we be upset about that?
Right.
Why should we get belittled for that? If you come back to us and you give us constructive criticism, I guarantee you 100% that I'm going to look at that and make a change. For Fish Addictions this year, we're doing something, and we're not going to announce it today, but we're doing something that nobody's ever done. And it's not like groundbreaking, holy crap. Kind of.
We're filming every episode out of a helicopter. I'll spoil it.
With an AR shooting pigs before each episode.
That
No.
make great TV. I
You
don't
know,
think FSN would be okay with
There's
it.
a
but
guy
they
out
make
there
great
that
TV.
is behind the scenes of Fish Addictions, Tony Aloya. Hey, Tony. He has pushed to do a helicopter episode for Fish Addictions for like 4 years.
It would be absolutely wild.
It would be. And I would love to do it, but I'm scared.
Okay, well,
What happens if a helicopter just stops running in the air? You guys out there tell me, does it land?
sometimes
Or does it just...
it depends.
right out.
It depends on how high you are.
I don't know anything about helicopters. I do know that if an engine quits on a plane, you have a decent chance of landing it. If a engine quits on a helicopter, are you just a pancake?
Maybe.
Isn't that scary when you think about it?
Think about how skinny you'd be, though.
I can't even ride roller coasters, Thor.
Oh, I hate roller coasters.
When we go to an amusement park, I am literally the world's best purse holder.
Oh, absolutely. Same
I am
here.
like, hey, I will take all your belongings, all your valuables, and I am right here when you get off.
Yep. I do not do roller coasters, but water slides, on the other hand, catch me on a water slide.
I am reluctant. My wife will laugh. I am like the giant control. I don't like to call myself a control freak, but like you put me behind a snowmobile, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
You put me behind a four-wheeler, I've got the throttle, I've got the handlebars in my hand. No problem. Let's do it.
Put you in a boat.
Put you in well, boats are fun. But you put me in the passenger seat of a boat?
Mike won't ride my bass boat with me.
No.
He says it goes too fast, but it only goes like 4 miles an hour faster than his Warrior.
Yeah, but I'm in a big boat. You're in a bass boat.
It's
and I've been driving a boat for
Well, you can drive my
20
boat. It's a 20-foot glass boat.
Do you have a foot pedal?
Yeah,
That's even scarier, dude.
it's badass.
But it's like
It's just like driving a truck,
in
except
bumpy
cooler.
water.
Most of the lakes around here, most of the lakes around here, don't get that
Nope.
wild.
Not happening.
I'm not telling you to drive it on Devils. I'm not telling you to drive it on Lake of the Woods. We can go out to Golden Lake next spring. It'll be glass calm.
You know what's funny? Jake knows he's supposed to be in here for an interview, and he's peeking around the glass, and he's just like waiting for us to be done. We'll get him on. He's coming on at some point. Maybe not tonight, but
Maybe is it because we wanted to talk about his deer? What if it's one of his big walleyes?
you know what?
For anybody watching,
Anytime we film Jake on Fish Addictions, he's got to not realize the camera's on to get anything on where it's just
how old is Jake now?
10.
So at 10 years old, I bet Jake has caught more 25-plus inch walleyes than 80% of the people that watch the show. The kid has.
He's been lucky. For
I don't know.
sure.
I don't know how much of it's skill or how much of it is luck, but every trip that kid goes on, he catches one of the top 3 biggest fish.
It's patience. He's one of the only kids I know that literally never takes his line out of the water. And he's very patient. And he may not catch the most fish, and he doesn't get frustrated about that, but he knows if he stays consistent and stays at it, just like deer hunting, that it will come. And he did shoot a nice buck. You know, Abby and Jake, we'll put Jake's buck up here so everybody can see it, but they both shot beautiful deer. And
They're going to be very poorly photoshopped right here, just so everybody knows.
well, yeah, I think you can do better than that.
Well,
But so I'm gonna tell Jake's story a little bit. So Abby during youth season shot her deer.
Yep.
But Abby hadn't shot a deer with my dad, so she shot her deer with my dad. Well, then Jake jumps in the stand with my dad. Well, he passes up on 5 deer because they weren't as big as Abby's. And then the next day, he's sitting in what we call the food plot stand. He passes up on 10 deer because they weren't as big as Abby's. And then they're sitting in what we call the swamp stand, and this big 6-pointer comes out, and he was wider than the ears, a good deer. I wasn't there, but I have this deer on camera. And he would not shoot it because this is where experience comes in, because it was 6 points and not 7, even though it was quite a bit bigger than the one Abby shot. But it was 6 instead of 7. So he's like, I'm not shooting it. Like my dad was like, shoot it, Jake. That's a good deer. Shoot it. And he's like, I ain't shooting it. 6 points. So, but he'd end up getting, his is probably a little bit bigger than yours, huh, Abby? Just a hair bigger. But he did end up in the end shooting a bigger deer than Abby. I'm still just as proud as you of you, dear. What's that? Okay. She's still claiming it wasn't bigger, but
there's some arguments taking place.
That's all right.
They'll get hashed out next year.
Sister brother arguments. Yeah. Abby's going to be so patient next year, and she's not going to shoot anything unless it's outside the ears. Sure. But where were we? I mean, before I started ranting about deer again, I just saw Jake like peering around the corner, and he knows he's supposed to be in here talking with us.
Right.
But if he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to. We're talking about Jake fishing. Jake's been on, hey, you know what Jake has been? He's been on more TV shows than most people listening to this as well.
I believe he's been on more TV shows than I have.
I think he's like 6 or 7 now in the last 6 seasons.
Yeah, I'm at like 2 or 3.
Are we going on season 6 or season 7?
Tyler and I talked about it the other day. It is definitively season 6.
Okay, so it is season 7 because the first season, it's season 6 of Fox Sports North, season 7 of Fish Addiction because we did season 1 on YouTube.
Yep.
So I'm not wrong.
Right.
We're trying to figure that out for sure.
It's just a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It depends on when you start counting the seasons.
Well, we did season 1 on FSN as season 1. So it's season 6 coming up. For those people that watch, yes, we're filming. Yes, we're doing stuff. I've actually been getting a lot of people wondering. I think a lot of people thought we started like a week ago or so.
Oh.
I think
Well, it's probably because the Vikings aren't doing so well this year. So they're just hoping for Vikings pregame to end so that Fish Addictions can start.
Hopefully.
I mean,
Hopefully they're looking forward to Fish Addiction starting. But we do start, I think it's January 3rd this year.
the first Sunday in January.
Yeah, first Sunday in January. I think it's the 3rd. And it's same time slot, 10:30 in the morning. And here's the other big question. Where are we going? I don't know. You can laugh at me, and there's people that don't believe that answer. But I legitimately do not know where we will be.
We have 1 or 2 trips that we're working hard to plan.
But we don't know when they're going to happen.
Oh, we were talking about helicopter fishing.
Make it happen, Thor.
That's how we got there. I think I'm going to start you off with a dog sled trip. Where you guys are going to ride dog sleds like 20 miles in.
We do
fish.
know how we're going to do it this year.
We do know how.
We got a couple new sponsors of the show. And with the COVID era, I think we've gotten around staying in hotels.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's all. I think I maybe gave too much away right there.
Yeah.
If you can guess what we're going to do for the whole season, you get a Runnings rod bag.
There we go.
Oh.
So the comment that has the correct answer first with the first timestamp, we will send a Runnings rod bag to you.
Yeah, they fit like 6 rods. Pretty nice bag.
Wait. Yeah, they're right there. I think it's 4 or 5.
Runnings rod bag.
Runnings rod bag.
So we're going to keep these shows somewhere between an hour and 2 hours. We're running up on the hour mark here.
Yeah.
But we really just wanted to kind of introduce and get a feel for ourselves, because we know we've known each other what I thought was 6 years and you say is 8 years. But still, we still need to get a feel for how this is going to work and how this is going to go. So bear with us. If you have ideas, please let us know, because we're doing this because we want to have fun doing it.
Right.
And we'd love to have people listen. If nobody listens, we're still going to do it.
Yeah.
I think.
I just like YouTube, and you like to hunt and fish. I also like to hunt and fish, but I also really like YouTube and things of that nature. So we're going to do this for our own entertainment. Hopefully it's entertaining for you guys. And hopefully we can get some great guests on.
I know that's not going to be the issue. We're going to have a lot to talk about and a lot to go on.
Yeah.
Between our camera guys, our editors, the Fish Addiction staff, guys in the industry, and my true goal in the fishing industry is more to bring the fishing industry together.
Right.
And what I mean by that is I don't care if you run blue, black, yellow. I just want to fish with you and have fun with you.
Right.
And we are one of the few shows, honestly. Like, if you ever watched our show, if we go fish with one of the clam guys, you rep your stuff. This is Fish Addictions TV, and we're having fun on ice.
I would like to point out, though, that we were in the northwest angle, and I caught a 16-inch crappie while wearing a clam suit, an ice armor suit. And
yeah, you did. It wasn't 16 inches.
Yes, it was.
It was not.
And you cut me out of the film.
and that was season 1.
Yep.
And like I said, things have changed since season 1.
It still hurts me.
Yeah, but here you are.
Yeah, here I am.
So you're
Still
over
haven't caught a bigger crappie though. Still the biggest crappie I've caught.
it. But this is the Real Talk, Real Talk with Fish Addictions TV. And we're going to see how this goes. We're going to cut it here and get some people lined up to be on, and honestly have shows where we have nobody on, because I think there's a lot just to banter back and forth about.
Absolutely.
And talk about, and we don't have to have a guest every time. And we're going to find creative ways to do things different than other people, I hope, as we get used to what's going on.
Right.
I've
There's only so many podcast recipes out there.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of friends that do this stuff, and I've been on a lot of podcasts with my experience in radio shows and stuff. The SmackDown Outdoor Podcast with Doug, super great guy. Him and I are good buddies. Patrick Olson with The Lone Angler. Shack Talk, which is Eskimo's thing. Midwest Fishing and Hunting, that kind of stuff. I mean, those guys are all great guys. Man, there's so many that we look up to, and we kind of want to just have our own spin on things and see where it goes. We used to have the broken line that Aaron, our old camera guy, still involved with Fish Addictions a little bit, and Patrick did together, which was a really cool thing. And they did cool things with it, and it stinks that it's not around yet, but Patrick's still doing The Lone Angler and still does a lot of fun things there. So, but this is Real Talk with Fish Addictions TV, and this is where we're going to cut it.
All right.
See you next time.